Did you know there are 16 different types of split ends? Here is a chart. I will go through each one of the split ends and what it's telling you, but I wanted to talk about the structure of the hair really quick. So here's the structure. The cuticle is the outermost layer, the cortex is the inner layer, and the medulla is basically the core. This is a baby split. This is one of the least intrusive of all the splits. It's basically the beginning of a regular split. This is the regular split end. Most common, can be due to many factors, including friction, dryness, or hair dyes. This is the triple. This also means you have a strong cortex and medulla, but the cuticle has been weakened and has been split apart from it. This is the double Y split. This is an old split basically just becoming worse and splitting within itself. This is the feather, almost the same thing, seen in a lot of people that haven't trimmed their hair in a very long time or use bleach and or hair dyes a lot. This is the long. The cuticle has obviously been weakened in a specific spot. This is the deep, almost the same as the long. This is usually a sign that the cuticle has been peeled off either by chemicals and or yourself. This is the tree. The tree usually shows damage specifically on one side of the hair where the cuticle is basically peeling on its own as well as the medulla. This usually is on the upright of the hair, basically the hair that is exposed the most to either ponytails and or the sun, that sort of thing. The crinkle is usually caused by a burn, either by your hot tools or a chemical, but it can also be caused by stretching the hair when you have detangled it to almost a breaking point, but it didn't quite break. This is the thickening. This is a change in texture, usually due to hormones or medication. The thick part is basically the end, and the rest is normal texture. This can also be maybe gray hair. This is the taper. The cortex is exposed here, and the cuticle has broken off. Usually, this is a sign of some sort of chemical damage with either hair dye and or relaxers. This is the incomplete split. This is a weakening at a certain spot, but the hair is pretty resistant to splitting. You will probably mostly see these in virgin hair that has been rough handled, but this must be cut, although it's not a complete split, because if you get anything caught within that hole, it's going to basically rip your hair in two and can be very damaging. The right angle is actually not a split either. It's basically just a bend and signals a weak point in your cuticle. It could be from past damage, it could be from rough handling with your hair, perhaps with bobby pins and or a certain style that you've been wearing it in, where it keeps getting bent in that specific area. The offshoot is kind of a combination of a tangle and a bend, usually caused by harsh winds, too much manipulation, and it could even be a little searing or burn in a specific spot of your hair. The knot is obviously high manipulation and or due to either harsh winds or blow drying, where it has made a an actual knot in your hair. Some people don't like to cut this. I do, because it does get in the way of being able to put your fingers through your hair. You can feel kind of that nodule or that little knot, and it can be pesky. This is the white spot, one of the worst ones to have. This is usually due to chemicals, burning your cuticles in certain areas, and or bleaches, relaxers, perms, that sort of thing. That's what kind of damage it indicates. Here's some tips on trimming splits. You never want to ignore a split. It will get worse. You never want to peel a split. And by peeling, I mean like grabbing the two ends and just tearing them apart. Because if you think about it, where you pull that up to, that whole area has, you basically ripped away the cuticle from the core of your hair, and now that delicate core is exposed and will just keep riding up and up. You always want to cut your split ends straight across, never at an angle. This is because it's easier for for the cuticle to peel at an angle than it is straight across. And therefore, you never want to get razor cuts if you're trying to avoid split ends, because razors always cut your hair at an angle. Um, and you want to cut the split end once you do find 1/16 of an inch above the split, just to double check and make sure that you are getting that split off. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this was informative. Happy, healthy hair journey.